All right, we have 6-4, properties of rhombuses, rectangles, and squares. All right, let's start off by circling segments that are diagonals. All right, so in this whole list, the diagonals are AE and GC. Is a diagonal ever a line or a ray? No. Diagonals of a quadrilateral JKML are JL and KM. All right, a rhombus is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides. A rhombus has 4 congruent sides, but not necessarily 4 right angles. So some examples of rhombi, are diamonds and squares. All right, so a rhombus is always a parallelogram. A parallelogram is sometimes a rhombus. A rectangle is sometimes a rhombus. A square is always a rhombus. A rhombus is sometimes a square, and a rhombus is never a hexagon. All right, so some special parallelograms. So a rhombus is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides. A rectangle is a parallelogram with 4 right angles, and a square is both. So it has a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides and 4 right angles. So write the words rectangles, rhombuses, squares in the Venn diagram below to show that one special parallelogram has the properties of the other two. All right, so in the middle that has the both is going to be the squares. Over here we will write rhombuses. And over here we will write rectangles. Okay. So, is parallelogram EFGH a rhombus, a rectangle, or a square? So the number of sides marked congruent in the diagram are 4. Are any of the angles right angles? No. So what is it? It is a rhombus. Because parallelogram EFGH has 4 congruent sides and no right angles. So if a parallelogram is a rhombus, then we know its diagonals are perpendicular. If a parallelogram is a rhombus, then we know the diagonal bisects the pair of opposite angles. So if ABCD is a rhombus, then we know AC is perpendicular to BD. If it's a rhombus, then we know AC bisects angle BAD and angle BCD. If it's a rhombus, we know angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, which is congruent to angle 5, which is congruent to angle 6. If it's a rhombus, BD bisects ADC and ABC, which means angle 3 is congruent to angle 4, which is congruent to angle 7, which is congruent to angle 8. All right, so circle the word that describes triangle PQR and triangle RSP. Well, they are isosceles. Okay. All right, circle the congruent angles and underline the congruent angles. Okay, so the congruent angles in PQR are angles 1 and 3. The congruent angles in RSP are 2 and 4. So that means 1 plus 2 plus 104 must equal 180. 1 plus 2 must equal 76. So angle 1 must equal 38. Each diagonal of a rhombus bisects opposite angles. So circle the angles in the rhombus PQR that are congruent. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we know measure of angle 1 equals 38. So 2 equals 38. So 3 equals 38. So 4 equals 38. If a parallelogram is a rectangle, then its diagonals are congruent. So if RSTU is a rectangle, then RT is congruent to SU. So if I know ln is 4x minus 17 and MO is 2x plus 13, what are the lengths of the diagonals of the rectangle LMNO? All right, so LMNO is a rectangle. The diagonals of this figure are congruent. So ln must equal MO. Therefore, 4x minus 17 must equal 2x plus 13. So solving, we have 4x minus 17 equals 2x plus 13. All right, let's subtract 2x from both sides. We have 2x minus 17 equals 13. Add 17 to both sides. 2x equals 30. So we have x equals 15. So let's substitute into the length for ln. So 4x minus 17 equals 4 times 15 minus 17, which will equal 60 minus 17, which will equal 43. So the lengths of the diagonals are 43 units. Okay, so your class needs to find the value of x for which the parallelogram DEFG is a rectangle. A classmate shown below. What's the error? All right, so if a parallelogram is a rectangle, then each diagonal bisects a pair of opposite angles. Well, that's false. If it's a parallelogram is a rhombus, then each diagonal bisects a pair of opposite angles. That's true. So they confused the two theorems here. Since it's a rectangle, we know angle D measures equals E equals F equals G. We know angle F equals 90. So the error is the diagonals of a rhombus bisect this pair, but not the diagonals of a rectangle. So the expression should equal equal 90, not each other. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix that error. So we have 2x plus 8 plus 9x minus 6 equals 90. Simplifying, we have 11x plus 2 equals 90. So we have 11x equals 88. So we have x equals 8. So the value of x is 8. And that's it.